Members of the public may be heard for council consideration. Chris Cohan, here.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor Cohen, council members, others on the dais, and fellow Rye citizens. My name is Chris Cohan. I live at 315 Oakland Beach Avenue in Rye. I wish to talk to you about Rye's deer overpopulation and the need to reduce the herd size for their own sake, as well as the health, safety, and welfare of our community. If I may, I would appreciate your indulgence and give me a little bit more than 3 minutes because this is kind of an involved topic. Thank you. To start, Cornell University ecologist Bernard Blasi said, "The forests of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic are in imminent danger of collapse from white-tailed deer. And there's little hope that business as usual or incremental change will suffice to address the serious issue we face. Deer devour native seedlings, denying our woodlands of a future. They leave invasive plants to thrive, which have little value for pollinators, birds, and small mammals. A prime example is Tree of Heaven, a very fast-growing invasive weed tree, which hosts the dreaded spotted lanternfly. It aids in lanternfly's rapid growth. Further, the undergrowth and young trees and bushes put in roots to hold soil from runoff. But the deer are devastating our wetlands' absorptive capacity by eating any saplings and small plants, impeding new tree growth as old ones fall. This exacerbates flooding impacting many Rye homes, increases erosion that contributes to silting up of Rye Harbor, requiring costly dredging, and non-point nitrogen pollution of Blind Brook and Long Island Sound. Imagine if native trees cannot regenerate. Then over time, our forests will simply fade away. Deer are associated with the spread of Lyme tick disease that debilitates most who get bitten. Many Green Haven homeowners are reluctant to let their kids play in their yards for fear that they will get bitten. Deer vehicle collisions leave humans injured or dead, and deer to suffer slow, agonizing deaths. Rye Public Safety Commissioner Scobie documented 47 related vehicle accidents since 2019, requiring 29 deer to be dispatched. Also, on top of that, many times after a deer collision, the deer flee into the woods, not found, while dying a slow, painful death. So the numbers may be greater. Based on State Farm insurance data, there are over 70,000 deer vehicle collisions in New York State annually. Nationally, the average property damage cost is over $4,000. In combined, DVC, deer vehicle collisions cost New York citizens over $450 million a year, based on 2017 data. So today it's definitely more. Look, I am not proposing something new or revolutionary. It has been successfully undertaken in county parks and lower Westchester communities. For instance, Irvington Village Board of Trustees solicited input on the best way to save Irvington Woods Park from an out-of-control deer population that is causing considerable damage to the ecosystem. John Siegel, Irvington's mayor, after exhaustive study of the problem, considered every known method of reducing deer. He finally recommended hunting by bow and arrow for the Irvington Woods, the largest native wooded parcel south of I-87. I understand after Irvington's lead, both Hastings and Dobbs Ferry were inspired to take this topic up as well. The woods has suffered for years from overgrazing to the point that the park lost 90% of the understory, along with most of the creatures that depend on it. The loss of tree seedlings and saplings prevented the forest from regenerating after losing mature trees to weather, age, or disease. Mayor Siegel said, quote, "The deer population is fully 7 times greater than what experts recommend for a sustainable forest and healthy ecosystem. There's no reason to assume that the Rye deer population is anything different." 12 Westchester parks and preserves are successfully practicing bow hunting, some for as long as 15 years now. Case studies like T-Town and Rockefeller Park demonstrate clear regeneration, including increased survivability of wood thrush birds. That is why the Audubon Society is in favor of deer management and stated that it has benefited their Sawmill River 8 sanctuaries. Audubon has also performed deer hunting at their Greenwich property, too. This is not about eradication of deer. Rather, this is about bringing their population back into a sustainable harmony and balance with the ecosystem. Tragically, deer are in jeopardy of dying, painful deaths by car crashes, disease, and starvation brought on by their own too muchness. The humane thing to do is to reduce the herd size. Again, bow hunting is allowed in some county parks. Both Marshlands and Edith Reed are county parks, which would be excellent first choices for the Westchester County Adaptive Deer Management Program. Their rules and guidelines exist that include stringent requirements that only qualified licensed bow hunters may participate. If archery hunting is allowed in Marshlands and Edith Reed, the county will manage the whole program. Peter Tartaglia, first Deputy Commissioner of the Westchester County Parks, Recreation, and Conservation, wrote, quote, "The first step is for a municipality to consider a deer management program and then request the county for their review to determine if necessary and appropriate. Going forward, imagine combining marshlands with Jay Heritage and Rye Golf Course for archery hunting. Also, the Nature Center, our surrounding golf clubs, and Greenwood Union Cemetery might be willing to join later on. Interesting fact, scientists note deer females tend to remain in a 200 to 400 acre range. So it would be slow for new deer families to migrate into our woods if we initiate and continue such a program. Further, Westchester County Bow Hunters Association works closely with the county. They were established in 1979. They're prepared to help make this work. This is a safe and effective program. Sharpshooter bow hunters set up in elevated blinds, aim down, and fell the deer quickly and quietly. Rarely do they miss. If they do, arrows go into the ground next to the deer. They set up pre-dawn when areas are closed to the public for a few hours. Areas posted no entrance during those brief times. Additionally, hunters may stand by the parking lots just in case someone arrives early to explain. They also participate in a fascinating, worthwhile program called Hunters for the Hungry, which provides venison to food banks to feed the hungry in our region, which could benefit from deer culling and rye. New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, in their Deer Overabundance and Impact Report of 2018, quote, "Deer health is impacted by high-density populations, which increase competition for food and transmission of disease and parasites. Deer in lower density populations tend to be in better physical condition as there is more food available and they don't encounter as many other deer. Thus, they are less likely to be infected with parasites or diseases," end quote. The remaining deer populations will be healthier, as will other species, and able to thrive in the proper balance with food and open space. The goal is not to remove the deer population, but to ensure the proper balance. I appreciate and understand that this can be a difficult discussion, myself included. However, over the years, I came to the realization that a right-sized herd is in the best interest of the deer, the forested areas, and our community. Other communities have been confronted with identical situations and determined the best approach is culling. Therefore, I ask you to consider permitting only bow hunting in a controlled, defined manner within Rye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. People have questions for Chris or comments? I know that this is a topic of some interest to all of us.
Yeah, just you had some information, some factual. Well, you had factual information throughout your remarks. It would be handy if you just circulated that afterwards, because you had information about some of the damage and some of the ways things are handled. And while I tried to take it all in, there were things I'd never heard before, and that was seemed useful. So,
I'd be happy to send it all to you.
That would be great.
My pleasure. Sure.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I do think this is a topic worthy of further discussion and information gathering. I certainly, looking in my backyard, think we have a deer problem, and I've certainly, heard other people think the same thing. So, and I think it would be healthy to see, you know, what other people in town think, and you know, what the range of solutions might be. So I would propose, you know, if we have enough time in the next couple meetings, that we maybe put something on the agenda. Maybe we can get some experts in here as well, and you know, and have a further discussion about it. That doesn't mean we're necessarily, you know, going to do anything about it, but I think I think it'd be good to learn more and see what people think.
Can I ask a question before we discuss next moves?
Sure.
I don't want to, if you wanted to respond directly, that's fine, I'll wait. But I was thinking I'd ask a question before we discuss.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
Greg has told us that asking city staff to work on this now would upset priorities potentially. I circulated an email asking if there were volunteers for a council committee who could, I think, quite easily both reach out to neighboring communities and gather information and do a job of digestion in advance of having public sessions on it. Would anyone be interested in participating in such a committee?
I would.
Yeah, I said that I would be happy to help.
Okay, well that's great
But I
too.
do have a
We
question.
can have one more if there's.
And also pertaining to this, as far as our time frame, I'm under the understanding that this is solely done through the hunting season for deer, correct?
Correct.
Potentially, is that the way it's handled in other communities and other areas?
Exactly. So let's say the whole thing came to an agreement. You could be like, it'd be nice to be like thinking about, say, the next hunting season, which would be October to December 2025.
Yeah, I think we probably, as far as the urgency to get on top of this now, I don't think that we're going to be prepared for the start of the bow hunting season, when bow is first or muzzle, whatever's first.
Yeah.
Whatever's first. It's the end of October through the end of November.
I walk Rockefeller Park. They have bow hunting there through December.
Yeah, the beginning of December, roughly. It's about a 6-week time frame. But the thing is, I don't think that we're going to be in a situation probably to initiate this hunting season. So as far as the urgency to get on top of this and throw the schedules off that Greg and the employees have, I don't think that we should be.
Yeah, I think this is
something
easily done by a council committee. The information is all around us.
Yeah. And getting, obviously, we'll want public feedback. But wasn't there a deer committee? Is it no more? You're basically asking the question I wanted to. Does it exist anywhere? Just because if it does, maybe incorporate the council members into whatever that was. So, but maybe it doesn't.
Sorry, I thought you were referring to a city subcommittee.
I thought
there
was this. Yeah,
there was, but that was like 2016, maybe.
Okay. I just remember it coming up, and it was members of the public, or was it a combo of?
The combination. I can go back and pull that out.
It was actually in the information I sent earlier in the week, or in the minutes, you'll see the committee composition. And it is some elected and some resident.
So, Chris, that's Sarah's question, but I'm actually more direct about it. Because you've been in this community for so long and you're considered, sort of really thoughtful about sustainability issues. Have you had a chance to review all the things that were done from 2013 to 2016? I remember being in this room listening to Jana Seitz present at that time. How much, and you don't have to answer now, I think it is part of the public discussion as well as the committee discussion. How much do you think the information and knowledge we have of this has changed? Just off the cuff, do you think, because that was a fairly involved and long process, and so I want us to just be fully open about it right now. We've gone through this before, But I'm actually curious, just on your own take, how much do you think we know now that we didn't know 10 years ago?
What we do know now is that the population has really exploded even larger. So that is a problem. And there's been a general sentiment in the community, whereas people are now more inclined to say doing nothing is no longer an alternative. We really need to address this. They did a lot of work in the past, and I think that's great to use that as a base. There's just a whole bunch of new information that's come along. And I think what's helping to give comfort to this is the fact that there are other lower Westchester communities that have already taken the first steps. One of the problems is people are apprehensive kind of to be the first one to deal with something like this. But a lot has happened since then. And speaking to these hunters in the county, it's a very effective, efficient, and safe way to address an issue, to really bring things back into balance and to really make things more sustainable for a wide variety of the environment. Yeah.
Josh.
So, Mayor Cohen, you mentioned was it the mayor of Rybrook or?
Yes.
So he was willing to speak to us or to a committee. Why don't I just ask you to elaborate on that? Because that seemed like a constructive thing.
Mayor Klein is, I'm not sure of his title, but he's senior in the county parks hierarchy. And he did give me some information off the top of his head, but he offered to have us speak with the person in his bailiwick who has the most information about their deer programs. And he offered that on an informal basis, not a formal presentation, but to help us as a council or our committee, or however we choose to do it, get up to speed on what the county's thinking has been.
So I'm fine with having a small committee pull together some information on this. I think they should avail themselves of that resource, and whatever other communities, neighboring communities are doing. It was interesting to hear about the acreage range of deer, and how does that work for us, and are we sharing this issue with others? What is the county doing? What do they recommend? Are they doing anything? So it'd be good to get that information in whatever the most efficient way is. My feeling about a committee, though, is just as long as the committee's gathering information and just taking some of the laboring ore off of staff, that's fine. I would just like to make sure the information gets back to the council to hear, what are findings.
Yeah, I'd almost
opposed to conclusions. Yeah. I don't love these, and it's not about anyone in particular. Just the nature of little committees is you end up, and I've served on little committees, you end up sort of taking ownership and making decisions and wanting things to come out a certain way. And I just think the charge has to be clear. I think there's an efficiency to it, but that's an important matter.
I think it's important, though, that if people immerse themselves, then they provide their views for the rest of the council to consider.
Views and information, which may not be in there.
I would just put in my 2 cents. I don't think. I think this is an executive function. If Greg's too busy till after budget season, I would like to, have it with the city staff running with this and not a committee. I think our function is not an executive function, and I prefer that we act as an oversight function, which is what we are. And so my sense would be if it's already too late for hunting season this year, we could take it up in January or December, whenever we're done with the budget. And have, if people want to, sort of be involved, that's one thing. But, I think this is something I'd like to see directed at the staff level.
I'm going to amend my comment. I was okay with it, but actually that's kind of where I was talking my way into. there's not an urgency, given that it's a 25 thing, so.
Well, I think what you're both saying is what we would like, and I imagine what the public would like, is information. We would like background, we would like perhaps some expert input, and to that extent, it does make sense that when Greg and his staff have the time, they are the ones who are best able to provide us and the public with the necessary information. But I do understand it's extremely busy time of year, particularly with the budget upon us. So
I'm comfortable, absolutely comfortable with it being a staff lead. I just wanted to make it clear that as a representative of the community, I would be spending some time and effort thinking through it between meetings. Doesn't mean anything other than I would be supportive as much as I could to the staff, and I'm fine with waiting for it not to be an urgent thing. I think Keith brought that up originally. Is this an urgent thing? But I do think that, and Chris and I had said this to the council members, 10 years is a long time, and a lot of work was done, but I think we have new people moving into town, we have new conversations, we have new learning to do. So I do think I do think it needs to be on the agenda and something we talk about as a council. Figuring out when to do it and how to do it, I have no problem looking to Greg.
All right, so why don't we do this so we can move on? Why don't we look towards, at some point, Greg, you can let us know when you have some time on your schedule, be it in February or March or whenever it is, and have some of your staff start investigating into this. And we obviously have a tremendous resource here that probably would be willing to share a lot of information with them to get them started. And there probably are some people that were on this group 10 years ago that put some time in that maybe want to come back and share what they had learned, and probably if they were involved then would probably be reasonably educated on the subject on an ongoing basis. So why don't we just look towards Greg working with the staff at some point next year.
Thank you. Chris, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks
And
so much.
I'll be happy to, whatever information I have, I'll be happy to pass along to you as soon as I get it, so you can start reviewing it. And if there's anything I can do in the interim to, clarify whatever, it'd be my pleasure.
Great. Thanks for bringing this to
Sure. Well, thank you for your
to
time.
everybody and your time that you put into it so far, because we definitely need to address this.
Okay. Thank you all.
Have a good night.
Thank you.